Hey, welcome to Real Talk, episode 165. I'm Todd. This is AJ, and we're back.
What up, fam? Pod Squad. We got a show for you today. So stick around. Let's have a good time.
We do have a show for you. We are right here with a show.
I realized
I love
that
it.
people last week, the din thing really made me go, you know what, man? Let's try something normal.
People loved it. Hey, 165 episodes. And for the slight chance that you just stumbled upon this for the first time, Real Talk's just an opportunity to talk about life, God, the Bible, and everything in between.
Everything.
Somewhere in the description, you'll see a link or at least the written out link if it's not active, I guess, www.theremnant.live/real-talk. You can copy and paste that, click it, whatever. It'll take you to a page. Go down to the bottom. It says submit a question. You click that button and follow the prompts. You'll be able to interact with us anonymously. So if you have questions about God, life, the Bible, you want a Christian perspective on something that, you've never gotten to get that type of perspective on, you can use this opportunity to do so. So that's the gist of it. We genuinely, the questions and comments and articles stuff come in completely anonymously. We really genuinely can't find you if we tried.
No, have no idea who you are.
So a lot of times people, what'd you say?
Said wish we did sometimes.
Yeah, so a lot of times, the hope is to give a platform for you to ask questions that maybe you're too embarrassed or uncomfortable to ask in person, to give that kind of perspective. So that's it. Typically, we give a brief synopsis of where we're at in our life. AJ, anything?
Let's see. I would say
I'm listening.
I would say that I don't know, man. Sometimes I don't even know where to start because I don't know. I don't know if you can relate to this, but do you ever feel like life, like there's so much yet so little at the same time?
I don't know what you mean.
Like there is so much happening in life, but it feels like so little just because it's probably like your own doing. Like, there's so much you could do, so much you could change, so much you could, like, process or like, anything like that. But then, like, it also feels like so little because you don't really do it. Or maybe you do, like, things here and there.
So are you saying, like, it seems like life is really complicated and there's all this stuff to do, but at the end of the day, it isn't? Because I'm not understanding what you're meaning.
I guess in regards to, like, when I think about sharing about life, I guess, like, does it ever feel like there's just so much yet so little?
Yeah.
I guess
I felt that.
to try to make it make a little more sense. Yeah. So I guess that's kind of where I'm at. Because for me, I've been in a weird stage in life. For anybody that's kept up with the show. By the way, thank you for watching every week. If you do, you guys are amazing. But you guys know I've been through I've kind of been in a weird period of life where I've been very sinful and just being rebellious and not putting things into practice that we talk about so often. And it's one of those things, man, where it's like, dang, like I think that's why it can always feel like there's so much but yet so little. Because for me, I know that it doesn't actually take as much as I think my mind tells me to actually take steps and grow and get past this phase. But you find yourself sitting in the same spot every week going, man, like that didn't happen. So I think sometimes it's also just kind of embarrassing, if I'm honest. Like, how's life? Same, man.
Oh, I get it.
So it's like, so I guess I'm fighting that insecurity where I just want to say, oh yeah, nothing's really different, but it's because nothing is different in a way because I didn't really take steps that I could have taken to make life different this week or the previous, So yeah, I think I tend to not want to share that because it is embarrassing, but at the end of the day, like that's where I'm at, So I don't know, I don't know if anybody else can relate to that because if you're in a place where it's like there's so much you could do to take steps and then you don't and you find yourself sitting in the same spot, it's like, dang, man. So we get questions sometimes about like, hey, like how do you how do you keep moving when things are hard? I'm going through that right now. So like, you know, and sometimes I don't always have the answer because I don't know. At the end of the day, you just got to take the step. So I don't know. I hope that makes sense. Hope I'm not just rambling and making mumble jumble. So I don't know. I guess that's where I'm at. Yeah. On the bright side, on the bright side, I have such good people around me. I got you, I got Clint, I got the Remnant House guys, like, and I got this church, man, that just never gives up on me. And you know, it's it's funny because the liar in me wants so badly sometimes, like, why it doesn't make any sense that these people just keep investing in me. But at the end of the day, it's just you guys are incredible people, man. Like, and that is a blessing, to have you guys in my life, because without you guys, like, I don't know where I'd even be. So that's the bright side to it, is like I have such amazing people around me that support me and push me and love me even when I'm so unlovable sometimes. So love you guys. Appreciate you. So I guess that'd be my life update.
All right. Yeah, man.
About you, man? How's life for you?
Oh, I hurt my back again. I was doing a new program in deadlifting, and if you're a lifter or you train, I always tell you form's important. I had one rep where I got my pride hit my form. I got it, and then the next set I went to do it and hurt it. So that's not fun. Just pretty funny. And by funny I mean painful. I sort of related to what you said to a degree. I had a strange thought. I've had this before, but I had a really, like, man, I don't even know what to call it. Moment of crisis. Those could be only 5 minutes, but it feels a lot longer. Where I realized that I've based my entire life on Christ, on this faith, and I mean professionally, and and stuff like that. And I had this weird moment of panic, where you go, dang, dude, if something happened, Lord forbid, and this planted this church, it's not a denomination. We don't have any. It's like, what would I do? And that's weird to think about. And you just have these, I guess I share that because if you are out there and you're a believer and you have these weird moments of like a faith crisis or a moment of doubt, or that's normal, I think. And yeah, so I had one of those yesterday, last few days, just randomly. It's not like I've been sitting in it, but it's always interesting when I do. You start asking, what if I had done something else? What if I had taught and coached football? What if I had been an attorney, a lawyer, which was my other kind of goal. So it's always interesting, man.
Yeah. Is it like is it like a bittersweet thing, or is it just
Not
sad?
really. It's anger mixed with, momentarily, because like, what am I doing? Or panic would be for a second. If you've never experienced it, you're gonna probably make it way worse than it is. But it's just so you nod really strongly.
Sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize. It's just funny. I'm like, I really agree with that. So, yeah. So, the other thing I would share is just was thinking about with that past and kind of where God's brought me and how I ended up here, and the people in my life that had a huge impact, and started thinking about a guy that mentored me for a short time, 6 months or so, and only a few years older than me, and very different than me. Wasn't a sports guy, wasn't he was in the theater and he's funny, but he was a man, like a man's man, and really taught me a lot and mentored me in the midst of the worst time of my life, and kind of help set me on this journey. And I found a letter he wrote to me yesterday and a book he bought me, and that guy, in a weird way, is a part of every sermon I preach, every person I've ever reached. He has a part of that, and I think the reason I'm sharing that is, if you're out there. You've probably heard the saying, I'm going to butcher it, but it's something like every man should have a mentor, someone to mentor him, someone to walk life out with, and someone he's mentoring, someone he's pouring into. And, sometimes I think we get so self-focused that, we don't look for people that we could pour into. But that guy changed my life, man. Really helped me and set me on this course. And he probably doesn't think it's a big deal.
It's wild,
But at the time, I just needed someone to see something. He saw something in me and reminded me who I was. So very thankful for that guy, and to encourage you guys that you never know how even the smallest act of kindness or love or pouring into someone can change their life. It's like that ripple, the whole ripple in a pond. You don't know who's going to reach. So
It's beautiful, man.
yeah, it's cool
Thanks
stuff.
for sharing that for real.
So find someone to pour into. All right, moving on. Questions. Number 1, what's a random thing most people don't know about you?
I enjoy a good poem.
You stole that from me. You literally stole my life.
Was that what you were going to say too?
This guy, there's no way that was his thing. Anyway, you enjoy a good poem.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got now here's the thing. I haven't read for poetry in a long time.
But you like it.
Yes, I love poetry.
Yeah, it's probably
very
shown in
beautiful,
that you like. Literally stole my life, but it's good that it probably shows up in your love of music as well.
Yeah, man.
Lyrically, and
Yes, I love
that's
reading.
really just poetry in motion, right?
Yes, I love reading lyrics and songs. Like
I haven't
Some-
thought of that. Yeah, it's probably.
sometimes I'm more interested in even just the words of a song than even.
Yeah.
But it's also
Or the feel of it, kind of.
yes, like
Yeah.
it's funny, man, because like I'm a weirdo. I guess it feels like I'm a weirdo in a way with music because. Sometimes I'll listen to music and like I'll like sometimes the words don't even matter and I just like the sound of them. Like this is really cool sounding.
Feel, yeah.
But then other times it's like, the words are way more meaningful than the music. But and it's funny though because I think the reason why I'm like that though is because then there's those few songs out there that are just pure, like like they both match.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, where they both come together and the words are just so beautiful, like it just fits, and then the music is it's just right with it, and it's like wow, like that is when like I can think of like what a moment of genius that these people have had.
I mean, that's
It's
what
very
music
cool.
is. Pretty much poetry. We studied in English in college in one of our English classes. They had a Bob Dylan songs in
So
there.
cool.
Excuse me. So sorry, guys. Allergies are bad up here in Indiana. That's good, man. Poetry, huh? Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Something about me random that is not stealing someone else's life. What could it be?
Gosh dang it!
What could it be? Random. I've read every one of the Harry Potter books.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, love them. Read them
I've
before
only
the movies.
watched the movies.
Well, not before they came out, but before they were even finished, I'd been reading them.
Nice.
Great books, man. Someone out there's going, oh, that's magic. That's evil. You're a Christian. You can't read about magic. And those people, I'm like, yeah, keep moving, man.
Keep moving.
A lot more things out there to fight over.
Move along.
Other than Harry Potter. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, you got a question?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was distracted. I was thinking about how funny
worries,
it is
man.
that I. Because I even wrote, because I told you, I was like, yeah, I even made notes before the show. Like, I answered some of the questions.
Yeah, no, man.
And
If
then
that's your life.
I enjoy a good poem. That's what I put on there.
Anyway, moving on.
Now,
Enjoy a
I
good
feel like,
poem.
I don't know about you, but I feel like these two could almost go together because it's about the same thing. Like 1 and 2.
Okay.
So, the first question is there an update on the saga that is Blueberry Brad?
Well, I think you just said it, so I'll let you fill in.
The second part of the question now that was somebody else that actually typed in. I
It
believe
was
I believe
Blueberry Bread. It says
Yeah.
they signed it at the end.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Blueberry Brad actually had a response for us. So it says, I would just like to clarify a few things about the blueberry muffin incident. 1, I only offered the blueberry muffin because the person offered to had previously said they were trying to eat healthier. So it seemed like a better option than Reese's. Laughing emoji.
Suspicious.
2, the muffin was eaten sometime between 5 a.m. and 3 p.m. on the day in question. So it could have been anyone. Point 3, whoever ate the muffin is a true monster.
All
Not
caps.
all caps and true monster. Not only did they eat it from the top down and only save the bottom half, they also left it in plain sight for you to find purely to mock me. 4, I do not believe this was William Covington due to the fact of the way it was left, as well as the planned way that it was eaten. Sir William is a savage and does not take time to eat food equally and cleanly. And then point 5, William Covington has been set up repeatedly. It is my belief that it was a setup. I hope we can get to the bottom of this heinous act and bring this ruffian to justice. Long live the Muffin, Blueberry Brad.
That's hilarious. So there you go. Also, funny story. Last week I opened the fridge, and then the very back of the fridge in the top, hidden behind like old containers that were in there, was a blueberry muffin. And I later found out that it was once again Blueberry Brad. Except this time someone, a lovable person in this church, bought it and left it for him. And he was so excited.
Blueberry Brad.
I thought at first it was him that hit it, which was even funnier, but no.
Dude.
So, as far as the updates, no. I mean, there's your update. I will tell you this, unrelated to blueberry muffins, but I can tell you this in the Remnant House internship program. Food is a big topic of conversation. Mad Max, you guys know him.
Yep.
You talk about a food monster. This guy does not want you touching anything of his, okay? Now, he did organize, and I think this is good.
He did,
with you guys, some groceries.
Yes.
However, when it comes to anything outside of that, don't you even look at Mad Max's food.
Don't be in the general
And as you guys know, I've bought my own peanut butter because I will never use Mad Max's peanut butter.
Dude, Mad Max, I will give him some credit. He did make a pizza yesterday and offered me to have a couple slices.
He's probably trying to kill his flesh because we know his actual meal. I don't blame him for being upset. That's not the issue. So Mad Max, if you're wondering what's going on, so he has been furious for weeks because he would order a pizza from the local hut, and when it would come, which this is weird. Not the part. Listen to me. Not the part that he likes cold pizza. I like cold pizza.
I love cold pizza.
But he leaves his out, not in the fridge, and will eat it for days after, and believes even days after it tastes better.
It's wild.
So, which, I don't know how long. So he has done this before. And then around the house, guys, there's a table where if stuff's left on this table, it's sort of like, hey.
Free game.
Yeah. So after, I don't think this is abnormal, 36 hours, there's still pizza there. People think this pizza is not
going to be eaten.
Even before 36 hours.
Yeah.
Let's take a couple slices here or there. I've seen it.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about it is Mad Max has been secretly enraged about it by his own admission. But by also his own admission, he continues to. He didn't say anything because he was beating it.
Yeah.
So the fact that he offered you that pizza is him trying to beat his rage.
Respect.
Yeah.
Respect.
But again, I don't blame him. Like, it's just nobody would have known this dude was saving his pizza because he didn't put it in the fridge like a normal person.
That's true though.
Store it. Yeah. Though I do, So anyway, he's a good guy. That's pretty cool that he did that.
Oh yeah.
My enemy, but a good guy.
My enemy.
All right. Hey, number 2. Just kidding. Love you, man, Max. As a Christian, number 2. As a Christian, how do you handle a non-Christian who's petty, rude, and non-cooperative? Having to deal with them on a weekly basis, I struggle with not dealing with them either as a smart aleck or not saying nice things. I am/was fluent in sailor talk. That means the Christian language, I think. I try my hardest to be nice. I'm just about at my limit with this person.
So first off, I wouldn't encourage using the sailor talk. I think that's just going to set a poor, it's not going to help as far as like even setting the example of like trying to be above reproach in a way. Ask questions. To me, that's one of the biggest things about communication. Even if it's expressing frustration or trying to like get behind the heart of somebody, like, if they're being petty or they're coming off as rude, why don't you ask them, hey, are you meaning to come off as rude? You've said this so often over the years. Like, I think people, they don't listen to it because I know I haven't. But, it's so true because that can just rip someone away. Like, it rips people out of, like, because they're probably expecting you to react a certain way. So when you don't, it changes their perspective. Like
That's
they
a good
may
way to put
calm
it.
down, or or whatever. Like maybe they won't. But either way, and also it's a if they're not a believer, like it's gonna be hard to hold them to the same standard that you're trying to live up to because they don't understand.
Yeah.
So if you're putting that pressure on them, I would encourage you to try not to put that pressure on them because it's not the same. I think I had a verse. It was Proverbs 14:29 that I looked up, and it says, "Are you whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but he who has a hasty temper exalts folly." So like, don't let them get to you. Again, not it's an unbeliever. So like, it's okay to express frustration and ask those questions. I think that is what you should do. But don't let them get under your skin because they just don't understand like we do. It's different. So
Yeah, it's good. I think. Do you just say, "Hey, man, why are you being petty? Hey, why are you being rude? Why are you being non-cooperative?" I'm a big fan of that. I just ask people, are you? He said it. I just say it, and let the person respond, because it makes them understand that you recognize their behavior. They may not. They're probably going to come up with some reason or say that they're not. That's okay. I would keep doing it. I've done it before. So that's it. Don't have anything else to say to it.
yeah, that's one thing you do really well, by the way, Todd.
What's that?
Like that's something you do really well.
What's that? I guess what you
Like you ask those questions.
Yeah, when I'm in a good place. Yes, I do it. I think you're up, my friend.
Yes. Sorry. Once again,
Yeah, it's on the next page here.
Darn it. For some reason, I was looking at your questions instead of my own.
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
Next question. It says, I want to be a leader and actually lead something in my church. I also wonder if I'm just a background player and better at doing what's told than actually planning. How do I know if I'm supposed to actually lead something? Is it biblically okay for me to just do what's asked and not actually plan things?
Yeah, it's completely biblically fine. Leadership is something that you just kind of said it, and this is typical. Our view of leadership means the person in charge, the person who tells everyone else what to do, comes up with a plan, and that's not always what a leader is. You can completely be a leader in being a servant. In fact, Jesus talks about that, and I think that some of the best leaders I've ever known are people who are not loud and are not the face of a project, but who lead in their example in pursuing it. So, yeah,
That's good.
I think that's fine. If you want to be a good leader and you don't want to be the person kind of heading something up, leadership, what we say here at the Remnant is leadership is weight. Okay? It's weight. It's something that you get the opportunity to do. You don't have to do it. So, it means carrying weight so other people don't have to, serving people, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I think you can be a great leader just in setting an example and setting culture. It's going to show people how to serve cheerfully, how to do it willingly, how to do it with a good attitude, how to work hard, all those kinds of things. That's being a leader. And we need a lot more of those than we do people that are just running around saying they want to lead but don't actually do anything. So it's really cool heart that you're showing.
Absolutely. Oh, and I had another question. Do you think that it's not even necessarily like a yes or no to, because like the way they ask is like, hey, like, is it better for me to like not plan and just kind of be the guy who like is just like, hey, I'll go do what I'm told to do? Like, do you think it's just more like finding something that like, for lack of a better word, like just like finding the niche and then like putting everything into it and then in a way that's leading? Like,
I don't understand the question genuinely, what you're saying. I think the way I guess I don't know what you mean. What do you mean?
like, I guess is this person maybe like overthinking as far as like, because I know I'm an overthinker. So like, is it not that it's just a solid yes or no to leading? It's finding that thing that you're passionate about and then just like stepping into it.
No, because I think then you're accepting their definition of leadership again. You're saying that leadership means planning and doing it. And what my point is that's not always leadership. Leadership is serving. So, when you say it says you want to be a lead and actually lead something, well, what does that mean? Because then later on, I want to know if I also wonder if I'm just a background player and better doing what's told. I don't know if I'm supposed to actually lead things. Well, you're supposed to lead because what do you mean by lead? Well, it means that you're following Jesus. Somebody's always looking to follow you, even if you're not saying anything. They're watching you.
It's good.
Is it biblically okay for you to do what's asked and not actually plan things? Yes. I think not everyone's going to have the quote gift of leadership. What I'm trying to, in the sense that you're thinking, but I think that you can lead by serving, by doing the stuff. So maybe you're not a head of the children's ministry, but you serve by teaching Sunday school, or you serve by, maybe you aren't even gifted in that, but you serve by cleaning the children's area. There's a lot of ways that you can be a leader.
Nice. I love that.
All right. So I'm a little hesitant on this question because it's really not a question. It's a really long story, which I think is good. I guess I can read it. I thought about just having it put on the screen, but essentially, the question is: saw this article last week. Your comments. They want our comments on this, and it seems like more of one of those sort of life, like sort of fable stories. You know, that's supposed to. But it says a prison inmate on death row was asked his last wish before he was electrocuted in the chair. He asked for a pen and paper, then wrote, "Dear Mom, if the law was fair today, you would be seated here next to me, waiting to be electrocuted in the electric chair. But since the law is blind, I have been convicted for the crimes we committed together. Mom, remember how it started? Do you remember when I was 3 years old when I stole my brother's sweets? You didn't correct me. Remember very well when I was 5, the day I stole my neighbor's toys and hid it at home? You said nothing. Mom, remember when I was 12 and I hid my cousin's ball in the garage when he'd come to play with us at home and you said you didn't see it, yet you did? Do you remember the day I was expelled from school at 15 years old? Dad wanted to punish me, but you refused. And that very day you had a bitter argument with Dad because you were defending me. You said I was still young. You said the teachers were wrong to say that I was not attending class. You defended me. You said I was right, yet you knew I was wrong. Mom remembered very well. You saw me steal our neighbor's bicycle when I was 17, but you didn't report I stole it. But you were silent, Mom. You loved me so much. Yes, you loved me, but you didn't correct me. Instead, you spoiled me. That's how it started and graduated slowly until today when I will be executed for bank robbery and murder. I was very young. I just needed your guidance, Mom. By the time you'll be reading this, I will be gone. Yours truly, your loving son." And then it says, to all parents out there, the Bible says, Proverbs 13:24, those who spare the rod of discipline hate their children. Those who love their children care enough to discipline them. Love your children. Don't forget to discipline them. Powerful.
Yeah, man. I think it's definitely powerful. You know, one thing it's a sad, sobering, like you said, story.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
to me, it's scary too. It made me think about like the little things, how easily one little thing that's ignored can lead to a life like what they said where it ended at, and that's terrifying.
Yeah, like the small things add up.
Yes,
Yeah,
you start
good.
you start at 3 years old stealing sweets, and then years later it's bank robbery and murder because there was no discipline, there was no correction, there was no love. At the end of the day, that's what it is. There was no real love there. And I actually, in a way, kind of related to this. Being spoiled, not being corrected. I know I've come on the show before and I've talked about how when I was raised, my parents loved me in the sense of providing like the facts of life for me. Like they had, I was always clothed. I had food, I had all that, but as far as being corrected and being disciplined, that was kind of a weaker area for them and their parenting. And so, when I read this, I was like, dang, especially when he said, like, you spoiled me. I was like, man, that's really,
Powerful, yeah.
yes. And it definitely it impacted me because, and I think that's why I originally even put, like, it was scary because it reminded me of, like, my own life. And, like, okay, like, all these little things that have been ignored or not, not dealt with, where can that lead somebody? And then it made me think of my own life and, like, how I can naturally be, if I'm not intentional, I can be rebellious and just go against what people want or what's good. And it's like, man, that's scary. So it's definitely impactful. Appreciate you sharing it, and to any parents who are listening, like, I guess, what are some areas that that you're ignoring that you don't want to deal with your kid? That's what it makes me, that's what it reminds me of. What are you allowing that you shouldn't be? It reminds me of when you're preaching and you talk about kids, how they want the whole plate of brownies.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't let them eat it because it's going to hurt them. And the kid thinks that it's going to be nothing but good because it's brownies, but it's going to make them
them
get
pain,
sick.
yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah, I think
good.
what's powerful is it says, the way the verse is at the end, those who love their children, those who spare the rod of discipline hate their children. And it was like, what do you mean? And it's like, listen, you care more about your own discomfort with disciplining your child than you do about teaching your child a lesson. And it's selfish. And yeah, kids, what's really powerful, the story when you think of a 3-year-old, it's natural for a 3-year-old. It also, by the way, points to sin is inherent in us. Nobody teaches a kid how to hit someone or steal. But they look to us to show them the right way and how, I don't know. It's don't fool yourself into believing. It doesn't mean beating someone or anything like that. But discipline means you're not loving your kid to let them think that they're owed something in life and everything in their, everything they want in life they get to have with no cost and those kinds of things. So, my parents weren't perfect, but I'm very thankful for my parents because I definitely learned discipline and I learned, that discipline teaches you to not be selfish is really what it boils down to, and teaches you to understand that your actions affect other people. And I think that's what's missing when you don't discipline. And discipline, again, the rod, right, spanking or whatever you want to call it, it's on the spectrum of discipline, but it doesn't, excuse me, it doesn't mean that's the only way. And there's people out there that don't discipline at all. Now, do I think, it also doesn't mean you have to be afraid. If you actually to spank, if you can study and look this up, and they tell you it's not even about the act or the pain, right? It's about like when you spank a child the way that you're supposed to, it's, just move your wrist and all these types of things. Now it doesn't really hurt them. It's more of the shock, and it's like, okay, this needs to stop kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think the main point of this is it doesn't have to just be spanking. It's just you even have those discussions to tell your kid that they don't get everything they want. This shows itself in sports, man, and everything. Those spoiled kids that, just you know who they are. And I bet you none of those kids' parents thought their kids was that kid. You get what I'm saying?
Yep. Because they didn't want to face.
I've never met a parent who says, "Yep, my kid's spoiled." They'll say it when their kid's a baby, but they won't say it when they're old. Because that they know inherently that reflects on their parenting.
Yep.
So,
That's really, yep.
anyway, powerful story. Thanks for sharing that.
Okay. Back to mine.
Number 3.
Thank you.
Right? No. You have. Yeah.
Okay.
4. Or no, 5.
Next question. I'm an adult now and didn't have a dad growing up, and my dad is still not in my life. So I struggle with seeing God as my father. How can I start seeing God as my father?
So this is going to sound deep. Isn't it funny that even if you don't have a father, you have an idea of a picture of what a good father is? Because if you didn't, you wouldn't know what you're missing. You know what I'm saying? So I think that here's some tangible advice and a really transparent question for you to ask. And thank you for sharing your heart and your wound. When you think about what is a perfect dad, if I could have had any dad I want, and it was the perfect dad, whether it's someone on TV, whether it's a movie, it doesn't matter. The perfect dad, perfect earthly dad. Think of it. All right, I'm gonna give you a chance. God is a better dad than that. And if you have to see him as the full house dad for a little bit, that's the minimum that God is, that's okay, because it's going to help you start to see how he is towards you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're still going to struggle, especially if you have wounds. So in the case of this, you have an absent, or if you have a violent father who abused you or something, it can lead to us to view God as father a little differently. But you got to define father as the best father you know. And whether that's, again, and we know that. I think that's what's interesting about humanity. Even if you don't have a dad, you know what a good dad should do, even if you don't know how to be it. That makes sense? So, but also sobering thought for us dads out there, for if you're a dad out there, is that's serious, It affects people. Good question.
Yeah, man. It's really good. Y'all are teaching me today.
Me too, man. All right.
Next question. I'm a prideful person. How can I let go of that pride and keep myself in check?
Hey, brother. That's a lot of people. You're asking a question for a lot of people.
Speaking to the
or
choir,
sister.
for sure.
You're just honest enough to admit it. So, prideful person. I think pride's one of those things that you almost, the Bible says, crucify your flesh, kind of essentially kill it. And
Yeah.
I think you do that by intentionally doing things that are going to take a shot at it. So, it might mean not arguing your case to prove that you're right, even if you're right. Sometimes it might mean sitting there and taking it. It might mean, and depending on the type of pride you're talking about, it might mean cleaning the toilets wherever you're at. It might mean taking the trash out. It might mean,
It's really good, man.
asking someone. So I'm trying to think of this is kind of a generic question without knowing how your pride shows itself, but if it's just those things where you get offended, so your ego gets hit, you just eat it, you take it, you pray about it. That's the other thing. The biggest thing, I assume you're a believer, but pray, and listen, I'm a big proponent of don't pray something crazy. Just ask God to be gentle with you and point out those times when your pride's showing itself.
Yeah, man, that's really good because, like, I personally, for some reason, whenever I think of pride, I think of, like, the difference between confidence and pride. And so I can forget the things that you mentioned, like do something humbling in the fact of, like, something you don't usually do.
Yeah.
Take out the trash, go clean toilets, that kind of thing, which shows that I can be prideful. Clearly, I'm a prideful person, too. So, like, because I can tend to think, like, because I'm an extremist, so, like, I can swing, like, okay, well, if I know there's a difference between pride and confidence, but I tend to sacrifice like confidence if I'm not going to be prideful. So then I just want to like destroy myself all the time. Or if I get confident, I'm like, I can think, oh, I'm being prideful. Or, you know what I'm saying? So
I
like,
know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
yeah. So that's just yeah.
Yeah, confidence isn't pride. Pride tends to set yourself above people. Confident just says, this is just my humble way to say it. Humble, my way to say it. Pride sets you above people. Confidence just says you're as good as people.
That's good.
As anyone.
That's a good out. It's an easy mindset, I think.
Yeah, my
At least
mom and
think on.
dad, since I was a kid, always told me, both of them independently too, by the way, it's strange. But the message was very clear. Hey, you're not better than anyone, but no one's better than you. And that kept it very, as a person, right? They definitely taught me about competition and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
really
think that's
good.
really carried me throughout life. And I think if you live your life that way, it'll really help you.
That's really good, dude. I like that a lot.
Great. All right. Number 3. What is the purpose of spiritual? Well, my number 3. It's like number whatever. But next question. What is the purpose of spiritual gifts?
So
Kind of a follow up to last week's.
to me, the reason why God would give believers spiritual gifts is to help. I just kind of I jotted down a quick thing to help an individual tell and live the gospel in a compelling way.
What if I said, to me, it's to glorify myself?
Now
So
that's
who-
fair because you
who-
got to compare it to Scripture. Where
So that's my one thing I want to say is like, we got to look at Scripture. What does Scripture say?
That's
And
good.
how did you say it again?
To help an individual tell and live the gospel in a compelling way.
Compelling way. Where did you get the compelling part? I'm not disagreeing. I'm
To
trying
move people to like see like what's like why are they so different?
Yeah.
And that presents you the opportunity to tell them about Jesus and tell them like about the gospel.
Yeah, I think that I can kind of get behind that in the kind of a bigger sense. I think scripturally, when we look at Corinthians, Romans, that we're each given a spiritual gift to edify the body, make the body, the church, stronger. So to serve each other within the church. Now, within that, is that for the gospel? Yes. So we're all given a gift to as part of the body, right? My hand can grab things.
Yeah.
My leg can kick or help me walk, So that's why we're given gifts, so that the church can function. Outside of that, I also do believe that it helps us, advance the kingdom and all those kinds of things. But yeah, I think the primary purpose it shows in there is to serve each other within the church, which is interesting, right?
It's really
And then
good.
if the
I like
church
that.
is, and it's not just liking it; it's in there. I think Romans chapter 6. Maybe we should. We talked about it last week, but in case someone's not watching this week.
I appreciate your mind for two reasons. One, it's very creative, and you're very biblically sound.
Oh, I don't know, but thank you.
Your truth comes directly from the Bible.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. So, weirdly enough, about pride, so Romans chapter 12, where it talks about this, starting at verse 3, this kind of ties with the last question. Romans 12:3 says, "For by the grace given to me, I tell everyone among you not to think of himself more highly than he should. Instead, think sensibly, as God has distributed a measure of faith to one another. Now, as we have many parts in one body, and all the parts do not have the same function, in the same way we who are many are one body in Christ and individually members of one another. According to the grace given us, we have different gifts, if prophecy, etc., etc., etc." So, and then 1 Corinthians, I believe it's 12 also. Starting at verse 4 says, "Now there are different gifts, but the same Spirit. There are different ministries, but the same Lord. And there are different activities, but the same God is active in everyone and everything. A manifestation of the Spirit is given to each person to produce what is beneficial." Makes sense?
Yeah.
So it says, to one is given a message of wisdom through the Spirit, healing, forming, extinguishing. And essentially it says, then he goes, verse 12 says, verse 11 says, "But one and the same Spirit is active in all of these, distributing to each one as he wills." By the way, a little aside, it kind of proves you can't just seek a gift and get it. God, the Spirit, determines that.
That's really good, man.
And verse 12 says, "For as the body is one and has many parts, and all the parts of that body, though many, are one body, so is Christ." So, there you go.
It's good, man. Thank you for going straight to the scripture. It's really good.
No problem. Trying to see. But yeah, that's what I think. Great question, though. And I do agree with yours. I think overall, like when we're doing that advances the kingdom. And
Absolutely,
I think that, those gifts do show themselves other places too. But all right. I think you got anything else?
Yes. Next question. Is it wrong to say please in your prayers? I do it often, but sometimes I feel weird about it because I don't really hear other people say it.
I don't think it's wrong. It's no more wrong than, it shows that, it shows you're talking to God as a real person. We don't just go, you're not commanding. The only thing I would say, and it isn't that it's wrong to encourage your heart, is if it's the kind of please where you feel like you have to beg, then I can encourage you and say, hey, just like a child doesn't have to beg his earthly father for something to eat, right? If he's even a decent father, you don't have to beg your father. He loves you, and he delights. The Bible says he delights in giving you the kingdom, right? So giving you the things you ask for. So
that's really good, man.
Nothing. No, it's not wrong.
Okay.
I think that's it. I don't think I have any more. Oops,
Yep.
So sorry for whacking that, guys.
The only other question I would have would be the thoughts on the...
Did you actually watch it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, on the Watch the Water.
So we're probably going to get shadow banned for this. People make fun of us, but it's true as soon as I mention this. So, but we want to honor the show.
Yeah.
So we were sent a short documentary, about an hour long, called Watch the Water. Now you guys can go check this out on Rumble. Just type in Watch the Water.
Oh, yeah, pops right up.
So what's the gist of this documentary? Well, the gist of it is the belief that, now how do I get creative here? That the sickness that shut down our world in 2020 and has continued to affect us and led to masks and those things.
Yeah.
The CVID, number above 18. People make fun of us, but it's true, right?
That's how they gotta dance. It's hard.
So anyway, that the roots of that are different than we think scientifically, and that I hate to use the word conspiracy but that there is they believe that governments are making a concerted effort to prevent the things that would treat that, and they're connecting it with. You'd have to watch it, but essentially that the theory here is that CVID, number above 18, is actually a venom. It's a poison in a way that is derived from snakes that has been, isolated scientifically and then released. And there's a lot to it. And if you look at a lot of the treatments that were working, that the governments are no longer allowing you to use, whether that's hydrochloroquine, which I probably just got banned for saying that. What are the other ones? gosh.
Um,
A lot of the other ones, some of the this is true that you can't. Oh, the one they call a horse dewormer, which isn't true.
yeah.
Ivermectin, etc. That it is those actually treat venoms and things like that. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
The premise is really interesting. The science behind it's really interesting. It's not. It sounds kooky. I get it. As I'm talking to you, it sounds really kooky.
Yeah, I get it.
I will tell you this: it's far more compelling and better scientifically backed than I can give you right now.
It's true.
So you ask my thoughts on it. I will put this. I've said from the beginning. You can go back to 2020 and watch our show during the pandemic. We were saying this. Our numbers have been affected ever since we started saying stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I 100% believe that this virus has been politicized.
Mm-hmm.
I also believe that its origins, are, and which, by the way, even mainstream media will tell you that. Scientists are saying it was, gosh darn it, this is my mind. What is it called?
Man-made?
Yes, but there's a word. Gosh darn it. What do you call a place where scientists work? A lab. It is lab. It does not, I'll put it this way. Most scientists would say that the way it is developed does not look natural, that it doesn't jump from a bat.
Right.
So I think that, I'll put it this way. The scientific evidence is compelling. And I encourage, it doesn't hurt to ever watch these things
Absolutely.
and gain knowledge. So as far as where I land on it right now, I'll tell you this. Like I said, I watched the whole thing. Wouldn't surprise me. And I definitely agree in the sense that I believe governments have an agenda here. All you have to, look up the World Economic Forum.
Mm-hmm.
Look that up. That is a real thing and what's called the Great Reset. And just look
Absolutely,
that up.
man.
You look that up, you're going to start seeing and start following the rabbit. And you might have to go to DuckDuckGo to even be able to see some of this stuff.
It's true, man.
Or Rumble. Rumble, you'll be able to see it.
Yeah, Rumble's pretty cool.
So that's kind of, if you guys think there's a better way for me to say it, but I think it's compelling. I watched the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of all I got on it, I guess.
Like you said, my initial thought was, it felt far-fetched at first. Like you said, it was kind of like a shock, but
I wouldn't say that I was as leery of it as you were at first. Because
Yes.
I've always, from the very beginning, been like, but it sounds far-fetched.
yes.
Until you start watching it.
Right. And I'm telling you right now, watch it, because the more they go into it, the more it makes sense. It's actually insane to me. I'm like, wow, this the argument that they're giving here it's well put together.
Yeah.
It's very well done.
And they tie in the vaccine, too, and things like that. So
Yes.
I will tell you this, regardless of whether I agree completely with that. Again, I do agree that governments have politicized it. There's an agenda.
Yes.
And I think, people call us kooky all the time, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the guy. It's so funny. Just because we're logical, and we've watched and read things and been up to date from the very beginning, even things from other countries, not the stuff you're force-fed in our media, I'm going to, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to these things because I've read it and I've seen
Yes.
it. And I'm not just talking about, what's the word, opinion pieces, scientifically based articles and facts. Look it up yourself. A lot of people out there on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter are sharing things like it's a fact and saying it's science, and they're ignorant people. I'm just
Yes.
being honest. Ignorant doesn't mean dumb. It means you're unaware.
Yes.
And that's not reality. And we need to question these things. And
Absolutely.
we're starting to. Even government officials are starting to question it.
Yeah, man. At the end of the day, like you said, you bring it back all the way to when this all first started happening, man. It's just been off. It's been different from anything we've ever seen. And for people to just so blindly accept that has been, it's been sad, but it's also man, I'm glad that there's people out there that didn't just take this at face value, and they've done so much to get, try to get behind what's really going on here. And I'm very very thankful for the research that you've put into it to have the knowledge, and you've shared a lot of good information with me, and I would say, man, just people need to quit being so closed-minded on what could happen and the evil. And I guess people are so closed-minded to evil in the world. They're very
that's
ignorant.
That's a really good way to put it.
You're very closed-minded, thinking let's even take something like the Holocaust. We talk about that, and people are like, that happened, it's real, and people think that can't ever happen again for some reason. Like, they think that evil came and gone, and it can never happen again, and that's not true. It's not true at all. Like, we think that history cannot repeat itself for some reason. Like, we think like lessons
When
were
it's
learned,
shown that it
but evil
does.
doesn't. Evil never stopped. It
fact-
hasn't stopped since the beginning.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Man.
And in fact,
So
I think there's a quote.
Yeah, they
from a
think it's
philosopher
almost like
about that.
impossible for things like that to
Especially
happen.
Americans, man. We are so like, we just think like it can never happen to us. Like, okay, like,
Yeah, that's what everybody thought. I'm sorry, what'd you say,
I,
Hunter?
I think there's actually a quote by a philosopher about that if you do not learn from the past,
Yeah.
you are doomed to repeat it.
Yep.
And I'll
good.
also back up these guys. Doing what research I did do, the medicine that they talked about, 100% had all the concerns they said is out there in the medical community. In fact, even underneath the search engine that we all use is slight tight-lippedness, you can still see it popping up. It's
Sure.
still a heavy concern, and you can't really get away from that. And then you have the other side of this where this would explain. Not that I fully agree. I'm kind of in the same place as them, but it is very compelling because this would explain how it all works
Yeah.
and why doctors have said that this does not behave. None of this behaves like it should. So
That's a
this would
good way to
explain
put
it.
Yeah, I love that, Clint. I think that's a good point. People need to stop accepting. I don't know, man. I guess a little jaded. Like, a lot of you out there are just brainwashed into thinking that the mainstream media doesn't have an agenda, and that it isn't an arm. Like,
or
you just accept what you're told without looking at, real science, since that's the thing that's worshipped in this country.
Yeah.
Look at the real science, not what somebody tells you that's a talking head on a TV show.
It's funny,
You know
man.
what I mean?
I don't know what's more sad is that or the ones who actually know there could be more, but they're too scared to like get out of that.
Yeah, that's true.
To get out of that mindset of like, I can't deal with the fact that maybe there's something more here. Like, either way, man. Like you said, like, you gotta quit accepting what is just given to you.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
you know,
So, interesting video. Thanks for sharing it with us. We watched it.
it was
So,
great.
That's that. Well, I know we have some articles, some interesting articles. I think that, didn't we talk about that Josh and Lana Connors, we mentioned that they resigned.
I think we briefly mentioned it. Yeah.
I will say we are going to go eventually. I don't know about today because we're going along, but I definitely want to talk about Disney. If you
Yeah.
guys haven't been paying attention to Disney and not just what they're telling you and kind of going through, Disney is essentially admitted to having an agenda to push across LGBTQ, topics, and to go
yeah.
so far as to, there have been released footage from their Zoom meetings that weren't supposed to be released.
Yeah.
High execs who are saying flat out, yeah, that's right, we have an agenda.
Yes.
And I think we should be concerned about that.
Yeah, man. I think one of the highlights of these articles was like they were wanting to make half of their characters part of the LGBTQ.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and you got to realize how moldable young minds are, and what becomes normal, right? What the normal that we accept, and so we're going to go more into depth into it later. What I will tell you is this: you can't say, because I've even been challenged with this. How do you affect? I'll put this: don't say you care about a topic if you're not willing to take a stand against it in the only way that you really can, which is to not purchase or consume their materials. Now, everybody's like, oh, I can do that. Can you? Because Disney owns Marvel.
oof.
So what would you be willing to do? So we'll talk more about that later. We'll get into it. Discuss, what effects, if any, does it have that a huge company aimed towards children has an agenda like that? And why should we care? Should we care? We'll get into that next week. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Great questions this week, man.
Yeah, man. You guys are bringing it.
And Fun Turn, great job. He's been putting our show notes together and putting all these articles. He's really done.
Yeah.
It's even color coordinated. This guy's awesome. So
He's killing
thank you,
it.
man. Good job. You got anything to say, man, to close us up today?
Thank you guys so much for watching. Love you guys. If you are watching from any of the many social media platforms we have, that includes Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, just share it. Share it, like it, comment on it. Let us know what you guys think. And at the end of the day, you know, share it with a friend personally. Even, you know, if you know someone who needs to hear some truth, you know, why don't you give them a link, shoot them a link to this, you know, and see what they think. You know, love somebody today. You know, that's about it. Love you guys.
I like that, man. Love somebody. That's good. Fun turn? Got anything?
No, just the usual stick that you haven't heard in a while. If you're on any of the podcast things, please leave us a review, a positive one, not a bad one. Please. If you're going to leave a bad one, you don't need to. Actually, you know what? If you're going to leave a bad review, they don't exist. Yeah, they don't exist, man. Yeah, no. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, I know you see it. Look the other way. Go watch some other podcast or TV show.
There
or
you
something.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
good.
See you later, buddy. Now, to you people who are going to leave a good review, it exists. We just don't want bad reviews. So please leave us a good review. A 5-star review is greatly helpful to us on the business end of things. And I definitely even appreciate you just writing a little blurb down there and saying, ironically, what you like about the show. Or you can just tell me your favorite color, your favorite TV dinner, your favorite hot sauce, your favorite dog.
TV dinner.
I don't know. You can do anything you want. But yeah, that's it.
There you go.
Love it. Thank you, guys. Great job today. Hey, everyone. We love you. Appreciate you. Would you consider donating to this show? It's a nonprofit, and to be honest with you, it actually costs money to put this show on. And frankly, these guys got to eat. So, you know, if you wouldn't mind considering that, you can donate anytime at www.theremnant.life/give. There'll be a drop-down box. Go down to Real Talk, and you can be assured that money will go directly into the show.
Awesome.
Other than that, I hope you guys have a great day. We love you. We appreciate you. Share, like, all that beautiful stuff. Don't assume someone else is going to do it. You want to be a part of the movement. Social media needs it. This is your opportunity. Have a great day. God bless.